Hare Krishna. Namaste. Chapter 5, entitled as Karma Sannyasa Yogam. Sloka 7. Yoga-yukto viśuddhātmā vijitātmā jitendriyaḥ sarva-bhūtātma-bhūtātmā kurvann lipyate. So one should not think that religion and philosophy is one-to-one mapping. It is actually many-to-many. They are not fixed, which means those who are Advaitis, Advaita philosophers, should not think they are only believer of Shiva. That is not true. They can also be a believer of Vishnu. Likewise, one should not think that those who are believer of Vishnu are always follower of Viṣiṣṭā-Advaita. They can also be Advaiti or Dvaiti or any other different philosophy. In this way, we can see there could be many such schools of thoughts. But the basic fundamental principle is both religion and philosophy are needed or must. They have to go hand in hand to establish the dharma. The one without the other becomes adharma. As it is said by Srila Prabhupada, religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanatism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Therefore, they are very important. Both are very important. There are three factors for any school of thoughts, and those factors defines and differ each school of thoughts. They are tattva, hita, purushartha. Those are the three things. These three things exist in all the schools of thought, and they vary. And that makes that school of thought as a unique one from the others. Now let's see what they are. Tattva is their key principle, or the basis of absolute truth. What that particular truth is, absolute truth is. That is tattva. Establishing the tattva. Number 2, hita or upaya. Upaya means what is the mean by which one can attain that tattva, that absolute truth, is hita. Purushartha. Purushartha means what does one do after one reaches their goal, objectives. This is also can be understood as sambandha, abhidaya, prayojana. So these are the three important things we should know. One who places these factors based on Vedas as authority are called astikas, meaning believer of Vedas, also known as orthodox group. And those who doesn't agree to the Vedas as authority are called nastikas, non-believer, and they fall into the group called heterodox. In the Vedas, there are various statements that supports different philosophies like oneness, duality, and some statements supports both oneness and duality. There were three main acharyas in the history who established three schools of thought, which are considered the basis for many other schools of thought which branched out later from these three acharyas. The three acharyas are Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya. Shankaracharya picked those statements, Shrutis, the statement from the Vedas which speaks about Abheda. Abheda means non-dualism. So he only focused on Abheda Shruti. Whereas Madhvacharya only focused on Veda Shruti, that which speaks about dualism. Whereas Ramanujacharya focused on those Shruti called Ghataka Shruti. Study of two is called Dvaitam. Study of one is called Advaitam, which is opposite of Dvaitam, which is non-dualism. Whereas the two or in one is viśuddhātmā. We are only touching these three now as they are mother of other schools of thought. At this point, we also need to know the thin difference, a minor difference between non-dualism and monism. Monism is where one doesn't see the second object at all. Whereas non-dualism is one sees the second object, but the seen second object is non-existence. It's not real. Because we can see Shankaracharya in many places to prove his philosophy, he takes the second object as an example. The one we saw previously was sword, lake, mirror, rope, desert, etc. Many examples are there. He takes as an example to prove his philosophy. So that means one sees the second object, existence of the second object, the upaya, the tools. But they do not agree to the existence of the second object. They are illusory. They are not real. Therefore, there is a thin difference between monism and non-dualism. Many times, to keep it simple for common people, sometimes these monism and non-dualism are interchangeably used just to avoid the complexity of this subject. But there is certainly a slight, the thin line of difference. As we can see, all these different schools of thought places their principle based on whether the difference exists or doesn't. So to understand this, we have to see three categories of differences. Anything that we see in the world, they fall into these three categories. Sajatiya bheda, vijatiya bheda, swahata bheda. And what are they? How they add values to the respective philosophy will be our next discussion. Namaste. Hare Krishna.